Alright. Hello and welcome to another Solana tutorial. Today we're gonna talk about the x402 standard again, because in the previous video we just introduced it. We now know what it is, but we did not yet manage to actually have a working example for Solana. So we will need to do that today. And to really understand it, I want to run the individual entities individually. I want to run all of the individual things that we need, namely the client, the server, and the facilitator. Those are the three things. And to really have control, I want to run them all and not use an external service for the facilitator, for instance. Because there was the issue in the previous video where I'm just like, I don't know what the problem here is. So that's gonna be a lot of work. So let's get to it. But hopefully it's also gonna be rewarding, because I do like that standard and I do want that to be a thing that people use. And for people to be able to use it, they need to understand how it works. So let's have a look at how it all works. x402. I'm still motivated. Give me 3 hours and I might be discouraged and frustrated again, but we will see. I hope that I'll manage. I have no idea. You know me. We're in for the journey, right? You don't want to just see how it's done. You want to see how it's done. That sentence made sense. Yeah. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, exactly. That's where we left off. GitHub. Right. So to recap, we have the client. That's the AI agent or a user interacting with a web page or whatever, which then sends this GET request to a server, and the server will respond with this 402 payment required. Then the client builds the transaction, and that's why it gets really interesting and Solana specific as well, because for building that transaction we need to already query the blockchain to check if the ATAs exists, because we need to already include all of the token accounts and everything in the transaction that we sign, and then we send that partially signed transaction to the server, which will just forward it to the facilitator, who will then also submit it to the blockchain. And once that's confirmed, it gets that message to the server, which will then serve you the resource that you just paid for. So these are the three things that we need to build: the client, the server, and the facilitator. Now, in here, I hope there are already examples. We just need to figure out how to make them work. TypeScript. Let's go. So we have a facilitator, we have clients, we have servers. It should be all there, right? But I'm not sure how much it's like there for Solana. They added the Solana support. So this commit, implementing each payment scheme for Solana virtual machine. Wow, that's cool. That's a big commit. I love it. Here we have the multi-network signer. Okay, I'm looking at the client. Maybe we start with a server though, because the client will expect that we have a server running. So let's look at servers first. Those two definitely have Solana support. So if only I knew which is the different, like what, I haven't worked with either of those. So let's try. There's Express middleware. I think Express, I saw that's implemented for Solana. So let's go with this one. Okay, so I'm gonna clone this entire repository, git clone, and then I'm gonna open the examples individually maybe, or the entire TypeScript thing. Let's go individually. So this is the server, and the first thing we need to do is to copy this to our .env. And yeah, for now we use this, and if that doesn't work, then we'll have to run the facilitator ourselves. And we want to do it on Solana Devnet. And then the address, I think, is the address of the receiving account, right? Because this is the server. The server is the one who wants to get paid. So the address, I would assume, is where we pay to. I'll make another one. And because I'm addicted to vanity addresses, I'm gonna make myself an address. So then this is our address. I think we don't need that because we're not using Coinbase, but we'll leave it here just in case it otherwise fails. Who knows? And then they say pnpm build. Oh, I need to do that outside. Ah, I see. That's what we're doing. We're going outside to build and then we go back in. Fine. Let's see. Go. So it's downloading the dependencies, which is a lot. And then we build. Oh, nope. That doesn't look good. We get worker out of memory, JavaScript heap out of memory. Oh no, failed to build. One was successful, but the other one failed. Okay, let's do build again. And meanwhile, research this error. Okay, you shall just get more memory. Let's see if that helps. So what I did is same thing, just with node options, max old space size, more. I don't know what is default. But with 8 gigabytes, come on, that should be enough to build this, no? Yeah, that looks better. Wonderful, I see colors. Nice. Built in 11 seconds. Amazing. Are we done? Or is something else to be built? Oh, there's more. Yeah, generating static pages, linting, collecting page data, and middleware. So there is some middleware already. Some chunks. Oh, whoa, whoa. Oh no, come on, we fail again. Mini app build. Why? No output first found. Command failed with exit code 1. Exited with exit code 1. Null. And here, doesn't like facilitator? What's the issue? I hate it if I can't build stuff. If the stuff that is on repositories just doesn't compile, that's so annoying. We have type errors here. Types and property create auth headers is incompatible. Ugh, annoying. Okay, I don't want to fix that stuff. I'm just running it again now. See if I get the same error. I get the same error. Okay. We don't manage to build everything, but we did manage to build something. And I'm not sure that I need this. Hold on, do we have a build package? Oh, wait, maybe I just need the server though. Hold on, maybe I don't need everything. Maybe my servers express pnpm I here should be enough. And then build. And then pnpm build. Nope, recursive exec first fail. So to run the server, I would need to install and then, oh, def, there is no build, there is here. Hey, I mean, that looks good though. Listening on localhost 402.1. Nice, I like it. So let's go there. We're listening there, I don't think, cannot get slash, that's fine. We're not supposed to query that with the browser, or maybe we are. But that resource is not available. What resources are there? Or what does the server do? We have slash weather and we have premium content. This is all not Solana stuff though. This is all very base C, and also here they hard coded base. Uncomment for Solana mainnet. Can I also uncomment for Solana Devnet or Solana address? S string or Solana address. Nice. So it can be a Solana address. I hope it is a Solana address because it's not 0x something. It is a Solana address. This thing. Nice. So then we gotta throw that away or say Solana Devnet instead. And also here the premium content. But let's get the weather slash weather. Page not working. Did my server die? Oh yeah, server died. Okay, hold on. Do it again. There we go. To access this content, please pay. Where does that node come from? From the payment middleware maybe? I wonder where this comes from. Maybe that's already something that the facilitator provides? Let's see, if I were to say 00402 and I refresh that, no, it still says that. Then it says 00402. Interesting. But where does that message come from? Is that something that the facilitator provides? What if I had some other random address here? Then my server would crash because fetch failed. That makes sense. Unknown scheme from the middleware. Nice, because obviously that server is not even running. But I mean, I'm okay to use that facilitator for now, the x402.org for now. But my problem is it still thinks we're doing base, even though we're supposed to do Solana. But maybe that's why it didn't work, because this guy doesn't support Solana. So ideally I would put my own facilitator as well. So why not? Let's have a look at the facilitator. So in examples, TypeScript facilitator, we provide the verify and we provide the settle. And we do have SVM stuff here. So it looks like the facilitator is the one also doing the fee paying or having a private key to fee pay with. So in our TypeScript facilitator for production use, we recommend using those. Yeah, so probably this one is just for the base testnet, I would assume. So we gotta run our own for now. Setup. I think I did this. I didn't build everything, but it's okay. Created env file with the following variables. So we need the SVM private key. And I don't know in which format, but we will find out. So let's create a private key for the facilitator as well. Fuck. See, there is no lowercase I. Is there a lowercase I? There is a lowercase I. There. Facilitator. But what do we need exactly? Where is this being read? This key? Create signer. Here it just says private key string. I don't see what format that needs to have. So private key hex or string is an address of string and sign transactions. I mean, that we kind of know from the kit, but how is the signer created from this private key here? This is still the private key to use for signing transactions. Yeah, in what format? String, yes, but what? Base 58, base 64, a string of JSON encoded bytes? What do you want? In types, x402 types. Let's go TypeScript, types, x402, source, types. Config shared verify. Facilitator. It's the settle index specs errors. Nothing with signer. Share. SVM. SVM address regex. Okay, so we have an address. That's cool. So it's like 32 to 44 characters with those characters. Yes, okay, great. But what about that signer? Create signer. For SVM. Here we have it. There we go. So SVM create signer from base 58 private key S string. So it's got to be base 58. Good to know. Thanks so much. So we got to quickly convert this private key to a base 58 something. So let's create a convert key, get guild. So we're gonna load keys this thing. Then we have a uint8 array. That's bytes. And then we take private key bytes, b bytes, the first 64 bytes is a private key, right? No, public key is 30, no, it's 32. Private key is the same length as this. Oh, this is not how you do it in TypeScript. This is Rust. How do you do that in TypeScript? Subarray. Okay. And then that we base 58 encode. So get base 58 decoder, because that's weird. And then we decode those private key bytes and get a base 58 private key that we can log. Gotta quickly do that to convert this key. That doesn't seem right. 32 is probably not long enough. How long is that? Give me the length. And then I know that it's half this. It's half the length. So it's probably 64. Yeah, 64. But that's still weird. No, hold on. The length is 64. So therefore half the length is 32. Yeah, and then a 32 byte private key is probably just that. But that seems short. I'm used to having longer base 58 encoded private keys. From base 58, do they usually have a key pair as base 58? So is it the entire thing? I mean, it looks more like a private key length string, but that would also contain the public key. I'm not sure, man. Let's try working with this and we'll see if we fail. So anyway, coming back to our facilitator, here, let's create an env with this private key and the port, yeah, sure, 3002, why not? And then, now we see if we can start this. So let's npm def this. Nope, that doesn't work. Missing required environment variables. What else do you? The EVM private key, and so if we don't have an EVM private key and we don't have an SVM private key, but we should have this one. Maybe it didn't take this. Maybe I need to, do you have a problem just reading this? Can I just give it to you like this? Yep, that would work. So for some reason you can't get the environment, which I don't give a damn about right now. Take this as the private key. Okay, fine. So we are running on this address. Again, we can't get this, but there is a support. No, there is a, what is there? /verify, /settle, and /supported. Supported. And it crashes. It crashes. Solana error. Crypto random variables function. Ah, classic. We need the random values function. So for that to work, we need to do this polyfill thingy. That's good that we're testing this. I like it. So we're creating this with a private key, and then we can already from that get the address, and that's our fee payer. So I'm gonna log the fee payer because I'm interested if it got that correct from the private key. But also that doesn't fix this issue yet. For this thing, we need to, oh, this one. I think this one is the one I used last time. There we go. You even give me options. I remember using this one once before. So let's do this. get this one, and then use this. Wait, do I even need browser friendly? I think I need browser friendly, right? Because I have it running in the browser, no? Let's see. Great, I'm running here. I don't need to always print my private key. Kids, don't print private keys. Also, don't put private keys into your source files. This is just for testing, because it didn't load from the environment and I don't know why, and I can't be bothered to fix that because we want to talk about x402 and not how to get environment variables into your program. Yeah, so now page isn't working. Damn it, I killed it again because... oh, this is still not working. Damn! Still on... what? I have this now. Now it does something. So this part worked with the web crypto. Okay, so I think this didn't work, but this thing worked. Nice. So now... yes, the fee pay is correct. I like it. I refreshed it 3 times. And look at this. We're getting the result. So what the /supported returns is it supports the following kinds. The exact scheme for Solana Devnet with the following fee payer. That's all it supports. That's cool. And now just for me, the one that we were using in our server, this one, if I would ask this guy /supported, this one supports base and also Solana Devnet with this fee payer. Interesting. So it does also support Solana Devnet. At least that's what it says. And that's where this address comes from. We saw that in the previous video and we were like, where does it come from? Oh, that's where it comes from. This guy has that fee payer. I see. But okay, let's ignore that guy for now and work with our own one, with our own facilitator fee payer. But that's cool. So that facilitator is running and has that working key pair for Solana Devnet. Speaking of working key pair, it should probably get some sol. So let's hopefully airdrop some to that address. Yes, we can. Awesome. Or maybe not. Come on, please just work. Devnet down. That's not looking good. So don't ask me why that is not working. Nothing here. Unable to confirm transactions. Seems like the RPC is down and now my limit is reached. You mother. Anyway, okay, fine. Do I have some? I still have some. Okay, then I transfer 0.1 to that address, 0.1. And yes, I allow that this guy has no funds yet. Cool. So now there should be some funds there on Devnet. The Devnet seems to be a bit slow today. Huh? What's up? It's not a good sign. That's just not a good sign, because then if stuff just doesn't work, I don't know if it's because of me or because of the cluster. Solana FM Devnet RPC. How about this? Ah, so there we go. Maybe just the public endpoint is struggling. Cool. Nice. So I funded this guy. It's got some sol to pay for transactions. The facilitator is running. Let's put our facilitator to here. So this guy we put here. Then we run the server again and query the weather. This page isn't working. Fail to get supported payment kinds. Not found. So it tries to, I guess it still tries to get some base payment type, but we only support Solana. Probably that's why it dies. But where does that error come from? Verify use facilitator. Fail to get kinds. Oh, fail to get kinds. No, where this one isn't even returning. The /supported isn't even returning what it gets. Hold on. Wait, is my facilitator not running? Let's run the facilitator again and query the /weather again. Facilitator doesn't say anything. Server failed to get supported payment kinds. Not found. So I guess this address is not found. Maybe I have a / too much. Try that. Yeah. That was it. I had localhost port /supported. So that / needed to go. Okay, I understand. Good. So it still says base. I don't like that. It's still weird. I really don't know where that comes from. But it's the same if I run my facilitator myself as well. But it's cool that I do run it myself. That's actually really nice because then I can control what happens. And if the transaction just doesn't land, then I know where to debug it. So running everything myself for testing purposes is how I like it. Anyway, so we have the server running and that seems to work. It still says base. Where does this come from? To access this content, where is that message written? Somewhere you must have this. In the template pi or in this template ts, that's probably what we're working with. Wow, the hell, what kind of file is this? Paywall template. Oh, that's in template. Can I format this better? So it exports an entire HTML here as a string. Great. That's just amazing. Okay, where did I find that? Paywall. Oh, here. Oh, that's the generated that I was looking at. There's also a base template, which is nothing interesting. Wait, so hold on. So the paywall is just a separate package. Automatic wallet connection and payment UI. That's what's being called as well when we do the payment middleware, and we can specify logo and name and stuff. That's where that comes from. Okay, I see. My question is though, do I import that directly in the server? Because what I do, I mean that I should, where am I getting this? Hold on. Where am I getting this from? From 402 Express. And I'm not sure if I'm having that in my node modules or if I'm using my version. There we go. Hold on though. I found it now. It's in the paywall app. And here it says, to access this content, please pay amount and chain name though. It should take the right one. Where does that come from? Ah, okay. Chain name is either this or this. Obviously, it can't have the right one here. That's not updated for Solana then. When they added Solana support, they didn't update the paywall app. Where does it come from? Okay, they just say if it's testnet, then it's this, and otherwise it's this. That's why it's saying this and not this. Okay, I see. Somehow there needs to be a network added or something like that. But that's okay. So basically this paywall app doesn't support saying Solana yet. And that's okay, I don't need it to. I could even hardcore. I could say Solana Devnet USDC here, but I don't think I use this app even. I'm not even building this. I'm using the one that I get with the node packages. Or do I? Where am I here? TypeScript, packages, x402. If I install all of those node modules and I build this. Maybe it does use that though. Let's see. I think I'm building the same thing that I did earlier. I have worker out of memory. We've been here. So where am I here? If I were to go CD, then I'm in TypeScript. Oh, there I'm in examples. And in the other one, I'm not in the examples. Okay, no. It is still different. Here I'm in the examples. So let's build it with more heap. And there I'm in the source, not in the examples. Anyway, let's build that. That looks good. And now if I run the server again, and I go here, still says base, because it's not using the payment middleware from the other path. I want the payment middleware. Where does that come from then? That was just app. So maybe I need to go into pay, source, paywall. Is that the module? Oh wait, that's from Express though. Isn't that a different one then? Wouldn't I need to also go here to the Express? No. Where is that payment middleware? It's a bit confusing. So I changed this. Payment required, you fool. I'll change some more just that I have some different text that I know that it's mine. But where would I find the paywall? Payment middleware? In many places. Okay, the one that I have is in distribution, ESM index. Distribution, ESM index. There is the payment middleware. I use that one instead. Do you think that will change something? Can still start the server. Ah, still says base. The Express. Is that stuff using the other thing? Teams irritated. The thing that I changed. Maybe I need to generate that again first. There we go. I can't build this. Because to build this, I need to build the other thing. The other thing was out of memory. Really, I'm playing around with stuff that is pretty unimportant, which is for it to say Solana instead of base. But the background is that I want to understand how those things work together. So even though it's pretty unnecessary that it says the right thing, but I still want to understand where that module comes from. That's why I'm wasting so much time on this. Okay, now that the other thing built, this thing built as well. And now that this thing is built, maybe now if I restart my server, last attempt, it still says base. I can't seem to get that, even though I'm now loading it from the Express index, just to demonstrate payment middleware. To do handle paywall for Solana. There it is, as a to do. That's why we still just check for this. We don't do Solana stuff. But that's okay. I guess it's okay. Using my custom middleware. Just to demonstrate that with this import, I am actually running this code, this here that I'm changing. I still didn't completely figure out how that page that I changed in here will make its way in here, but that's the only thing that I import from here, so it must somehow find its way there. But that's probably somewhere in here that it's being included there. Yeah, so in the end, let's say it's not so important. We just ignore that it says base here. The important things do work, because the important things really are just that it takes the price and the network correctly. It needs to take it. It doesn't need to say it then in that weird thing. But yeah, if I had 401, then it would say 401 here. So at least that's working. Okay, so moving on, ignoring that it says base and not Solana Devnet, let's also start a client. Because in the end, what we have so far is the server, that is this thing. But actually the server already gives me this thing that lets me then basically interact as the client as well. But if I don't want to use that, let's first at least go with scripts and run the client from in here. This fetch client, what does that take? Let's create an environment for it. It will access the endpoint /weather. That's fine. And then it needs a private key. So one more key, please. Client, CLI. Oh yeah, there's no L. CLI. Clip, yeah, you're my client. Clip, you are my client. And the private key, let me guess. No, let's not guess. Let's read source code. The private key will again be a string. Oh wait, but here we're just talking about base. This is not even, let's go multi-network signer. Then we have a SVM private key, which is a string. And this guy, again with a create signer. So it's gonna be again a base 58. So let's convert that key as well and put it into this environment. And then hope that actually works. When I now do the multi-network signers, how do I start this? So in examples, TypeScript, clients, fetch, can npx tsx multi, missing required environment variables. You know what? I don't care about the EVM stuff. The resource server we will need, the endpoint path we will need, but I don't care about the EVM stuff. So again, I'm not sure how I can put out, it doesn't properly read the environment. I'm sure I could figure out how that works. Again, I'm just too lazy to figure it out. So hard coding it is. This is just for dev purposes anyway. So go to hell and I'm gonna load it manually. There you go. Don't do this at home, but also not like I care what you do. Okay, there we go. Screw environment variables. And it tells me to screw myself. I see. Cannot read property of undefined. Private key to account. Okay, so this is not good. Where are we dying here? Oh, because I don't need that. Okay, hold on. Die as a whole. And then I don't need an EVM signer. I just need an SVM signer. You know what? Solana signer. We're just going to do Solana signer. Screw the multi-network. So we have a SVM signer. And we're going to just use the SVM signer. There we go. And then we do Solana signer. No random variable. We've seen this before. I can fix that. Fixed it once before. We'll fix it again. Yes. Maybe looking better. But it feels a bit stuck. Somewhere it's stuck now. Maybe I should do more debugging. Creating signer. Fetching payment. Creating signer. Fetching payment. Awaiting response. We are awaiting response. But okay, let's see what the server says. Oh, the server died. That's why. Okay, so the server died. That's why we don't get a response. There we go. Server's running again. Back to the client. Run this. Awaiting response. There we go. At least we get an error. So, Solana error. Transaction failed when it was simulated in order. Hey, and that's exactly what we saw last video as well. Great that we got to this point again. Now we can finally figure out what the issue here was. So I'm getting the same error that I already saw. Inspect cause of property to learn more. So that's what the client says. Cause, here I can see it now. Instruction error, invalid account data. Okay, I can work with this. I can work with this. Where does all of that come from? Is that something I get from the server? From the facilitator? Facilitator always tells me the fee payer. Haha. I mean, if I think about it, it should come from the facilitator, right? So what's happening here? The client sends a request with payment to my server. Server is running and just uses the payment middleware. which uses the facilitator URL. So my facilitator will do the verify. Or no, wait, it's already a step before. I think this is just client so far. I think we're not even getting there. I think this is just client because the client tries to simulate the transaction and get required compute units. That's just client stuff. So where is that? Where does it do that? In main of the signer at, wait, 41. Here, when we fetch with payment, this fetch with payment is a rep fetch with payment. And if we go there, that's not really where we need to go. Create transfer transaction message. Cool, that's where it is. And then partially sign transaction message, and that's create message. This is the one that's failing. Where are we here? In packages, x402 source scheme exact SVM client. So in other words, yeah, cool. That's even the one that I have imported. Nice. So here we create the message, transfer instructions, and then the transaction to simulate is create transaction. And this is all kit stuff. I like it. And then here I think we fail. In the estimate compute unit, here's just a factory, but here this one fails because it tries to simulate this transaction, but this transaction doesn't want to simulate. Let's see in this client. Let me see if we actually call this. Yes. Nope, we're not calling this client. We're not calling this one directly because what we're doing in here is we're using the x402 fetch, rep fetch with payment, but we could, instead of this npm module, we could go to TypeScript packages x402 fetch, this ESM index, and here should also be all of those things. And if we do that and I run this up, I first need to build the other thing. I would need to, what did I say I need to build? TypeScript packages x402 fetch. I need to build this one. And if I build that one and then I run the Solana signer, still not. But it still has the wrong line here, so it still didn't take this. It still didn't build this. Why did it not build this? Where am I here? Oh, schemes. Packages 402 source schemes. Okay, I need to build another thing. Packages 402, maybe just npm build all of this. I might run out of storage again, out of memory. Yep. Run again with more memory. There we go. And if I now run this, now we're using this. Perfect. So yes, we're using this client now. Perfect. Now we can have a look at what's actually going on here. So the transaction to simulate, and then we estimate compute limit. So we set the compute price, we set the fee payer, and we append those instructions, and the instructions are those create ATA and transfer instructions. And what that is we fetch a mint for that address, and that's probably where it all goes wrong then. And then we create ATAs if required, and then we add a transfer instruction. Okay, so far so good. That should be fairly simple. The thing is just, what's the asset? Where does that come from? From the payment requirements. And the payment requirements, the address. Wait, let's go back to the server, because the server is defining what we need to pay with, right? Pay to is the address, so that's where we pay to. But what do we pay with? Or maybe the facilitator says. Let's go to the facilitator. When we tell you payment payload, payment requirements, there. How does the client know which mint to transfer? Where does that info come from? Okay, maybe let's go from here. So this asset comes from those payment requirements. What does that look like? And the payment requirements here come from payment requirements here, and the payments requirement here come from this, create transfer and transaction message. And this gets it from the create and sign payment, and this gets it from the create payment header, and this create payment header exact SVM payment requirements, create payment header, and this I don't find where it's being called. Oh shit. But where are those payment requirements? Can't be so hard. Come on. In our client, Do we here have the payment requirements already? Here we do create payment header with the selected payment requirements, and the selected payment requirements, here they are created. So in the rep fetch with payment, which we call from the client, it's getting together. We came from this side, and that's in the middle. So the middle here, where we actually parse the payment requirements. So our response is a fetch. And if we don't get the 402, so if we can just fetch, then we return the response. But if we have a 402, then we get the version and the accepts and in the JSON. Because that, let's look at it. If I were to call the weather on my server, here the /weather, this already gives me that dialog already for interacting with the wallet. If I just do curl this, then that's what I get as a result. I get the version 1 and I get the accepts. That's what it accepts, right? It accepts what network, what scheme, the exact. I don't know what that means, that I need to pay exact, I'm not sure. Minimum is this, that's the resource, that's the description, and the pay to, we pay to the server, so my server tells me to pay to there, and there is also the asset. That's where we get it from. So the asset is the 4ZMM, and that's the fee pair. But where did I define this? Who defines this? Would make sense that the server defines what he wants to be paid with. Let's see. No, in the config. Ha, cool. In the config, it says for Solana Devnet, 103 is Devnet, 102 is testnet, and 101 is mainnet. On mainnet, USDC is this. We know this address. You remember this? That's the Circle USDC address, the mint. And apparently the official one for Devnet is this one, but it forces us to use this. Where do we actually use this? The middleware, get default asset in our middleware. And I can, for test purposes, put something else here. Let's create our own USD coin. There we go, ignoring case. Raspberry token, create mint with 6 decimals like USDC, and that mint, what did I say? Create token, that's what it's called. And then I'll put that token in here, and then I'll rebuild this. And if I then run the server again, and fetch this thing again, then the asset is USDL. And then if I do the client, we still get the transaction failed, but now at least I'm fairly confident that we have that asset in there. Hold on. And in the client for this transaction to simulate, I guess the issue is that the client doesn't have tokens. Or that at least that's one issue. So let's fix that. Let's give the client some tokens. SBR token, first create an account for this owner. And the following token, what was the thing again? The US, this one. Fee pay is required. Okay, fine. What's my current address? This guy. Host, that's my account. Okay, great. And then I SBR token mint one of these into here. Hold on. Mint this token 1 into here. There we go. That works. And now, if I run the client, will it still fail? Yes, but with a different error. So what do we get here now? Error, socket error, unexpected token in Solana Signer 4527. Solana Signer 45. So payment response, which is logging the payment response, and we decode that response. Maybe just the decoding doesn't work. The socket error seems like a networking error. The rest looks good. Wait, that's the body that we're logging here. First we log the body. Look, that's the response body, and the decoding payment response. And now I have a fetch failed. Hold on, I should have checked the server first. There we go. Socket error, other side closed. So that's, maybe now my server is dead. Hold on. Check the server. Yes, the server is dead. And the server died earlier because fetch failed, payment middleware. Maybe because the facilitator was dead. Okay, check the facilitator. That was my facilitator, but it died because custom event is not defined. Handle message. So if one thing dies, all dies. That's a bit annoying. Custom error message. You know what? I'm just gonna restart all of those and then try again. Facilitator running, server running, start the client. And here again we get a socket error because the server also died. Because the server fetch failed, other side closed, because the facilitator died, because custom event is not defined. Okay, so this custom event in WebSocket channel, it's all in node modules. Where's my stuff here? Could that be that Solana RPC is down? Because it looks like it's a Solana RPC subscription WebSocket channel. It seems like we're trying to do a confirmed transaction, but that just doesn't work because maybe the RPC is down. Or my RPC URL is just not defined. Ha, look at that. Maybe that's the thing. That is very likely a fair point of that I didn't define a RPC URL. I should probably do that. Then restart, and then restart the server, and then try the client again. And same thing. We're still dying. We're still dying. Yep, same thing. But where exactly? Like, how do we get there? I'm gonna add some logging. Interesting. So we're processing get supported, then we're processing a post verify, which works, and then we're processing the post settle, which doesn't work. So cool to see that the verify was called and all of that seems to work. The await verify did okay. But then when we process the settle, there's somewhere we die. Probably in here. Okay, but what is this? That's in the facilitator. So I guess let's look at it here. So in the TypeScript facilitator, not in examples, in TypeScript facilitator, settle SVM, settle exact SVM. Probably somewhere here we're dying then. So we're doing a verify again, apparently, and then decode from payload. We sign the transaction with our key pair as well. So that's where then the facilitator signs as well. On the client side, just the client signed, but on the facilitator side, also the facilitator signs. So, I mean, we are making good progress. So start the server again, start the facilitator again, start the client. Client dies, cause server dies, cause facilitator dies. We're awaiting the settle, and most likely, like, I don't know where exactly it dies here, because it looks like my client managed to simulate this transaction. Actually, let's look at that transaction. So on the client side, where did I have that? I have so many files open now. Oh, this is so annoying. I think that was here in the client, then client, here, this client, in the scheme, the SVM client. This guy creates this transaction and returns this transaction. Okay, so get the transaction codec, and how do I get the base 58 encoded wire transaction? Or I do it in two steps. Get base 64 encoded wire transaction of this thing. Does that work? Of a signed transaction, and this thing what I have here is an exclude transaction message lifetime. Oh, that's just a message. Okay, hold on. Then one step back, where is this being used? Here, transaction message, signed transaction. Oh, here we get the base, here we have it anyway. Get base 64 encoded wire transaction. Delete that again. That's the partially signed transaction, and that's what we put into the payload. Can I print this, please? I want to see that transaction. So if I run the signer, if I run the client, oh, it dies because the server is not running. I can also, don't even need to start the facilitator, whatever. Oh, I would probably, and actually also for that to work, I need to rebuild this thing such that this is being, because that's in the 402 source. So I need to rebuild the entire 402. And then I run the client again. Nice. That's the transaction. So let's look at this transaction in an Explorer, because that's where we really learn something. Let's put that here. So what's happening? Fees is twice the base fee because we have two fee payers. The fee payer is the facilitator. Yes, nice. And we don't have a signature for the facilitator yet. The facilitator will need to add that, but we've partially signed with our client, the Clippy. this is a valid signature that we provide with the entire transaction that has those accounts and the following instructions: compute budget program, and a token program instruction where we, it seems like, transfer from here, that's my token account from the client, this mint to this token account. And that's the authority. The client is the authority. That's cool. But obviously, what are we missing here? As Solana devs, we now totally see what's missing. This account doesn't exist, I think, is my problem. Because if I go there, why is this so slow today? This thing, I think, doesn't exist because nobody created an ATA for the receiver. Which is also weird, because we might get race conditions if we query that and then somebody else created that account. So I think good practice is for the facilitator to just already have its ATA. So if we simulate that, actually all of that gets success. Actually, the simulation went through. So maybe that account does exist. Yeah, it does. Who created that account and when was that account created? 2 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago. Hold on. Are you saying that all that time I've already been paying? Look at that. The facilitator has already always been paying the base fee and the priority fee for the transactions to always get another 0.4 cents. So it's been working the whole time. It's always been working. Well, always. It's been working the past few times. But the result that we're getting back from the facilitator, something doesn't happen there. The payment works. So we can pay, we just can't get to our resources that we paid for yet. Great. That's exactly what we want. But the transaction manages to go all the way, so that's cool already. That's nice. Okay, I see. So the facilitator, why do you die? Something. I don't even know why you die here. Like, for real. We await the settle. It's probably something with it can't confirm. Awaiting settle. It's really weird. Okay, you know what? Let's try something else. If my facilitator is just annoying, let's go back to the facilitator we had before, this one, because that should also work for Devnet. Let's try and use this one with our server and then do the client's thing, same thing. Oh wait, but this one will then, it's actually the same thing. This is the payment response. Yeah, hold on. Wait. I see. Okay. I'm using this asset. Wait, that makes sense. Hold on. One step back. Obviously, we're using the same thing. Request body length does not match content length. Let's use our server again. But in our facilitator, we need to make sure that it also uses the same USDC mint that we specified. Where does it even do that? Does it even check that? Settle code transaction. It basically just signs whatever is coming in. Yeah, the verify scheme and network. Here in the transaction introspection, in here, we check what we actually do. Get compiled transaction, and then we verify transaction instructions and transaction instructions. We verify compute price, verify transfer, and otherwise verify ATA instruction and then transfer. Both of them have the verify transfer, and the verify transfer verifies that verify transfer checked instruction with token instructions. And here we check the token program address is one of those. Pay to ATA is an ATA for my pay to and the asset, and voila. Here it might already fail if that asset is not the same or the amount is not the same. But yeah, that asset, but no, that it should get from the payment requirements. And the payment requirements, they should be in the header. So it should have that. We just need to make sure the facilitator does take all of the things here locally. So that should actually be fine. Why do we fail again? Unexpected token. So we don't seem to get the payment response. The header is null. That's why we're getting this weird error. We don't get an X payment response because we're already getting a socket error. The client doesn't get anything because the server dies. And for the server, the fetch fails in settle in the use facilitator settle. Here when we call settle, the facilitator closes the connection because it doesn't like the settle. It dies in here, I guess. Wait, quick question. This facilitator that I'm using here. Oh, wait. This facilitator that I'm running all the time does use verify and settle from the x402 facilitator. Maybe I should use it from the TypeScript packages x402 distribution facilitator index. Because here, this settle and verify might take a different asset, although I'm not sure, but let's try this. Restart facilitator, restart server, run client. And does it die again? Awaiting settle, and we die again. Yeah, same thing, damn it. But now that we're doing this, I can add some logging here, settling SVM stuff. I know that they settle because the transactions are being sent to the blockchain. So send and confirm is being done, but I think the confirm is what gets me. So here I would say confirmed. Let's try this with rebuilding all of it first. Okay, restart facilitator, restart server, run client. We didn't change much except for we have logging now. There we go, await settle, settling SVM stuff, send and confirm. And as I said, before we get to the confirm, we die. Something doesn't work with RPC subscriptions, I guess. This is probably Solana RPC error thingy thing here. So I'm gonna, instead of doing this, because again, we get here, we don't get here. This is pure Solana stuff. Either I need to take another Solana RPC. Maybe I should try that. Do I have a Solana Devnet RPC? Or maybe I just have the wrong address for this. Get RPC subscriptions. What does this do? Solana, that does look okay. But I'm assuming that for some reason we can't confirm transactions on Devnet right now with our RPC. I'm gonna just use a different Devnet RPC in my facilitator here. Not gonna show you my key. Let's try that. I'm curious if it's that. Restart the facilitator, restart the server. It's all a bit buggy or like unstable, because if one thing crashes, all of them crash is weird. You want to have some error handling in here, but it's okay that we don't have that. Run the client. Do we die again? We die again. Facilitator, yeah, same thing. So guess that didn't help. Okay, different idea. Facilitator, in the settle, instead of send and confirm, we just send the signed transaction. What do you need? The signed transaction and the RPC, and what it returns, the signature of the signed transaction. Do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna write true. Just once we send the transaction, we're not confirming it. That's also shit. I shouldn't do that. But for now, that's what I'm going to do. Oh, promise for a string. I need to await this. So I await a send signed transaction. I pretend it's true. Error reason, I'll say undefined, because there ideally wouldn't be an error. Let's see if it would work this way, and then we make it better in case that works. So once again, rebuild this. Start server, start facilitator. Once it's built, start facilitator. And then run client. Let's see if it dies again. My facilitator is being queried. Verify. There we go. We get to the confirmed and we're still alive. Facilitator is still alive. We did not die. Good. So it's just an issue that I had with confirm because the Devnet RPC subscriptions are being buggy. So we just signed the transaction. We sent the signed transaction. The server is also still alive. And the client got back success true. Pay this, and that's the actual transaction. Look at that. That's how it's supposed to look like. That's what it's supposed to look like. Look, and we get that transaction signature. The facilitator paid, it's the fee payer, and then we see the transfer checked, worked, and we sent another 402 milli tokens, something like 0.4 cents, if that was actually USDC. And I can change that in my server. In my server, I can be like, actually, I want 40 cents because inflation, prices are high. I restart the server. And then I start the client again. Oh, payment amount exceeds maximum allowed. There's a maximum allowed that was also set somewhere. Where is that set? I don't even know. But I think the maximum was 10 cents. I saw it somewhere. I don't even know where it is. Okay, yeah. The server can't just charge too much. That's also fun. But 10 cents I think is allowed. So run the client again. And this one is allowed. Yes, that's the transaction that we send to the server. Server sends it to facilitator. Facilitator actually settles it and returns the transaction signature, and success true. Yeah, that's nice. That's what it's supposed to look like. And here we go. Now we're sending 10 cents. Cool. And we get the resource back as well. Right here in the client, I'm not actually... Yeah, here, that's the body. We paid for this, that we see that the weather is sunny and the temperature is 70. That's what we paid 10 cents for. Isn't that fun? And the header here, that's the encoded header and that's the decoded header. And my issue again was that the confirmation here didn't work. I just manually set it to true now. What I should be doing is using a proper RPC that actually works. But if I do it manually like this, I can still confirm a signed transaction. That's my signed transaction, the RPC. And then I will again need the RPC subscriptions, which will again be the problem. Yeah, so no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, no, I'm not going to fix that. So it's fine. It's fine. Quick fix. We just trust that it's being confirmed once we actually send it. To do, fix that and actually confirm it. But if my RPC subscriptions are currently being weird, then I'm just... But okay, hey, that works. We've got the whole thing working. It only took us 3.5 hours. Great. So that's it. We managed. And we understand the workflow or the message flow from the client to the server, to the facilitator, to the blockchain, and all the way back. We've seen the individual steps. We've seen a transaction, how it then actually looks. The interesting thing here is that the facilitator is actually fee paying and the client wallet just signs such that tokens can be taken from their token account. And if you want to use SOL and not USDC, then just use the wrapped SOL address and use the token programs to transfer. And then you can pay in SOL. That's also a possibility. Yeah. Now let's check one last thing. Do we still need our own facilitator, or would it actually have worked with that one that we had here in the beginning? What if we kill our facilitator and restart our server using this one? Does this work as well? Nope. We also get that weird error. Even though, let's check. For this account, was something just sent? No, the last one was 10 minutes ago. So with that other facilitator, it probably has the same bug that I just fixed. Bug, I don't know. Is it a bug? Something just doesn't work right with the RPC subscriptions. Yeah, whatever. But we managed to find a way around it and are like, hey, this is gonna work. Success true, YOLO. Don't do this in production. In production, you really want to confirm the transaction. But I don't know what the issue is. And that's a different topic to research what the underlying issue here really is than what we're talking about today, which is x402. And that we talked about. And I'm happy with that. Job well done. Whew, that's a 4-hour production anyway. We gotta end at some point. I'm happy that we did this. We finally managed to actually make it work and saw the individual steps, built all the 3 elements, facilitator, server, and client. And by build, I mean we took the example code and made it work. It's not like that stuff works out of the box. It does involve some brain power to get that working, but it's not impossible and it's okay, simple enough. I wouldn't say it's easy, but for a Solana dev with a little bit of experience, it should be manageable to get that stuff working. Cool topic though. I mean, I like this. This is really cool. I enjoy this because now you can do a lot of things with that. You can make users pay small amounts to just access some content. That's actually really cool. And then also in the combination with AI agents who can then pay without needing to know much about the underlying blockchain. That's also really cool. The server doesn't need to know anything about blockchain really. The client needs to have a wallet. The server also needs to have a wallet, or at least define an address where the funds should get sent to. But then the facilitator will take care of, fee paying and everything. And that's pretty cool. So on your server, if you want to integrate that, you basically just add that and then the facilitator and the client will handle all of the stuff. And you as the server are like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, the client will need to handle it. So you as the server need to still provide that if you also serve that to the client. Yeah, whatever. But still, it's pretty cool. I enjoy that standard. I like how it's set up. Obviously, you can't do everything with it. It's for now just simple token transfers of a defined token. You're not more flexible, but that's also good because it involves less risk. Because we always check for exactly a token program instruction. So there's no weird stuff going on, which is nice for reliability. So I actually do like that standard. x402 is quite cool, and I'm curious in what you're building with it and what people will do. And if that standard will take off or if it will get buried as so many other things. We will see. Only time will tell. But I'm taking my part in looking at it and telling you about it such that this standard doesn't just die. Yeah. I might make yet another video on how you can actually integrate this in an application, such that you can also let users pay with their wallet. I think HelioPay has a solution for that, but we will need to have a look at that, and maybe I will do that in a future video. Let me know if you're interested, and then I'll see you there, or in some other videos. Make sure you're subscribed, like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in a future one. Till then, thanks for watching. Bye bye.